Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the North East Non-League Show, episode 68, which is the Step 1 to 4 February review. Sponsored by DJ Private Hire, Gateway Accounting Services Limited, Elite Goalkeeper Academy, and Motivate. And tonight is our episode 68, like I say, which is our Steps 1 to 4 of February review. Joining us tonight, we have Darlow fan Matty and Whitby fans Paul and Pete. Lads, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, James.
Yeah.
And I think this one, compared to last month, it was nice to kind of, it was more positive, I think, for the North East. I know last month, it was a bit more, a lot of defeats and a lot of managers not having a good time, but it seems to be a lot better this month. So going on to tonight's show, all stats and the scores, etc., was all kind of wrote on the 26th of February. I know there's a few games last night, which I have put the scores down, which I'll quickly go through as well. So last night there was a few games. Woking 3, Gateshead 2, Curzon Ashton 1, Darlow 3. Crap result for Matty, which we'll go for that as well. Bishop Stortford 0, Spenny 1, literally last second of the game, that one as well. Whitby 1, Lancaster 1, and Concert 1, Newton Aycliffe 1 as well. But we're going to be starting in the National League and Gateshead. So, like I say, great month for a lot of clubs, especially Gateshead, played 6 and won 5 before the game last night as well. And obviously doing well in the league, and like you say, winning them 4 games and just drawing the 1. Some great wins as well against some big sides like Southend, Wealdstone, Kidderminster, Oxford City, and scoring 12 goals in them 5 games unbeaten as well, and sitting 5th until last night as well. And Rob Elliott, I know his name was put forward for the manager of the month in the group as well. But Peter, like I say, great spell. The wins keep coming until last night, of course. The injuries now, just trying to keep them away, keeping the squad together, and just push on for them playoffs now. That must be the main aim now, isn't it?
Yeah, as I said last time, I was hoping it would be quite an easy problem for them to get out of. And I did say they had 3 tricky fixtures coming up where there was 9 points at stake. And obviously they got off to a great start last match in January by beating Barnet, who were 3rd in league. And they then went to Southend away, who were close to them. So that was 6 points. And then, unfortunately, they only drew with Eastleigh. But I suppose 7 points out of 9, when I was saying, is it going to be 9 or is it going to be none? 7 good return, isn't it? A very good return. And I also said that, obviously, Chesterfield, it looked as though Chesterfield were going to win league. And then it was Barnet and Bromley looked as though they were secure in 2nd and 3rd. But that doesn't seem to be the case now. All of a sudden, Gateshead have a chance to. They're almost breathing down the neck now, aren't they?
Yeah, like you say, it was a shock last night. I mean, the game in the 3 points last night would have been massive. But it's nice to see when you look at the squads now, Pete, every time the lineup comes out, it's not many 2 changes where, like December, January time, early January was kind of players going out on loan, players getting released. Obviously, Mike Williamson picking up half the squad. It was hard to get a settled team, and I think it always makes a difference at any level, getting that settled squad and getting that same team on the pitch week in week out. It just creates so much harmony in the team, doesn't it? Yeah.
They've had, like I said, they've played a lot of games, 8 games in total, including that FA Trophy away win at Hereford. So they've managed to keep busy in February, where a lot of us haven't been doing an awful lot, unfortunately. But they've done really well because, obviously, in that league, there's a hell of a lot of travelling involved, even if you're playing away on a Saturday. They've had a couple of away matches, the one last night in Woking and at Kidderminster. Well, I know that's, you say it's only Midlands, but it's still a hell of a long way midweek, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
So
trouble, isn't it?
Considering their top level, one other thing I did say last, and I'm moving off Gateshead, but one other thing I did say last time was I was sort of agreed. There was 2 of us saying that we couldn't understand the appointment to Kevin Phillips, but credit to Kevin Phillips, he's got Hartlepool up and running straight away, and they're moving towards the playoffs, but they're only 2 places off the playoffs, 7 points behind the playoffs. They seem to be miles clear of the relegation zone.
Yeah,
but they're only 8 points clear at relegation zone, so they can't afford to take. Like, these positions are sometimes a bit misleading, aren't they? It's all about the points, isn't it? Really, And they have played. Credit to him to walk straight in and do what he's done, again, they're both playing top class teams every week, or twice a week even, and they're both doing really, really well. It's great to see,
Definitely. And that's where we're going to go next, which is Hartlepool with yourself, Paul. And just everyone say evening 10, pin Ben and Jake as well, even if I'm saying Barter and pitch invades. That's from Jacob. And on Hartlepool, Paul, and like you say, a great start with Kevin Phillips, really good February. Another name that was put forward for the manager of the month in the group as well. Played 5 free wins, 1 draw and 1 loss. And at the time, sitting 10th, as we wrote this, and 6 points off the playoffs at the time. And for me, and I said when the appointment was made, I mean, with Kevin Phillips, a lot of managers on certain names will just get a job because of the name, where Kevin Phillips, he's done a lot of coaching, Championship, League One. He's then dropped down to South Shields. Yes, they had the money, did well in that league, but he just seems to make a name for himself. And this is just going to only help, obviously, with him going forward as well. But it's been a cracking start for him, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly has. I've been sort of very impressed with how he's handled things at Hartlepool United, because, it's a difficult club to go in and manage. I think there's a few managers that have found that, whether rightly or wrongly, they've found that sort of thing. So yeah, he's done well going in there. I wasn't sure myself on the appointment at the time. I wasn't massively enamoured by his South Shields team when I saw them against Whitby. Obviously, Whitby were a team in a relegation battle, or just out of a relegation battle, when we played them at the Tobar Express Stadium the day they won the league. And to be fair, you wouldn't have, at times in that game, you wouldn't have been able to tell whether it was South Shields who were top of that league, or whether it was Whitby who had been in a relegation dogfight. But yeah, I've got to say I've been quietly impressed, to be honest, with how he's gone about things at Hartlepool. And you look at that record, only 1 defeat all month. And I think before that defeat, which was Saturday, wasn't it? The one before that was a month previously at the Kidderminster. So, he's done a very good job so far, and I think he can be very happy with what he's done. They've sort of got to hope and pray, I think, that Raj Singh doesn't get involved and pull a bit more money out while he's trying to sell the football club, because that would pretty much be a bit of a disaster, really, for Hartlepool when you say, like, you look at that table with how well they've been doing under Phillips.
Yeah, and I think it's a game with, obviously, Hartlepool, we just touch on for obviously Gateshead as well. It's about trying to keep that team settled now. Again, as I know, I've seen the last few days, a few players out with the loans getting terminated, with things coming to an end. You need to try and get that settled squad, especially if you're around them playoffs now. You need to have that push now between now and the end of the season to make sure you're getting them playoffs and staying. But you need that settled team, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And no, that's always a difficulty, particularly in non-league football as well. Because when you're in the football league, for teams like Hartlepool, they've been used to it, where you don't have this changeover of players so much. Obviously, because you can't bring players in beyond January. There's no emergency loan window or anything now. Whereas in the non-league system, the National League system, whatever you want to call it, there's always teams that are going to be looking to change players towards the back end of a season, especially when they're going for promotion, they're in a relegation battle, anything like that. So yeah, that is the tricky one, trying to keep that side settled and trying to keep those lone players within the squad. And like you mentioned, we've seen a few players sort of going back to clubs recently. So yeah, that's going to be the challenge. But I think it is a challenge, as long as you've got a core of a squad, which they do have at Hartlepool. They've got players that they can rely on and that do step up. I think it won't be a problem for Kevin Phillips.
Yeah, no, but really, like you say, a good month for both sides there as well. And now on the National League North, and Matt, yourself, obviously your league, and going at a few of the teams and just getting your thoughts and kind of the February that's gone. And start with South Shields, obviously in the league. And I've got to mention the Scunthorpe game. I was there last Tuesday, and it was just so nice, and obviously to see teams doing well. South Shields climbing leagues, but then it's sad to see obviously Scunthorpe playing the Championship. I think it was 2011 now, playing in the same league, and it's crazy how things can change. But it was just massive to see, obviously, South Shields playing against a team like that. And in that month as well, 5 games in February, 2 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses. Obviously, the 4-0 to Darlow, which I'm sure you'll mention as well. But I think it's just nice to get a good win against a team like Scunthorpe, who's going for them playoffs and promotion as well. I mean, first of all, what was your thoughts on the Darlow game? And obviously, do you think a possibility for the playoffs for South Shields now?
I think largely from a South Shields point of view, it's been a long, long time since I saw a team capitulate quite in that fashion. Yeah, it was a nice little experience for me going back to Shields after all these years. It was 2013 the last time I was there for the Northern League game when we were back in there. And yeah, they've got a nice little setup there, and they've got the facilities to go on and kick on. In terms of the game against us, obviously the early red card, that's the big talking point of the game, and I don't think anyone can really have any complaints about it. Means 3-1 and 1 on goal if he doesn't get brought down there, and they've let Briggs back, who's one of the slowest players in the side, to go and defend that set piece. So it's just key moments in the game like that really turned it on its head. But I think from our point of view, Mitchell Curry came on with about half an hour to go, and that really got us kicking on. And again, Shields, it just seemed to be, we get the first one in and they just seemed to fall like a pack of cards really. And the second red card, it's out of control. It's a bit high up. You could argue he's won the ball, but again, you can definitely see why it's been given as a red. And I think it's just a little bit of that game management and a little bit of that composure in difficult moments. But as for the rest of the month for Shields, again, we went to Scarborough and got a draw, which is not an easy place to go to. Obviously, we know Scarborough have picked up even less points away from home than us this season now. So their home form tells a lot about them and where they are in the league right now. Demolished Gloucester away from home. Obviously, we'll be thanking them for that. Run of the mill. Alfreton is another tough place to go to. It's a team that you either know how to play against or you don't. I think a bit with Alfreton, and if you're not at the top of your game when you go there, they're going to turn you over, and that's what happened. And again, the game against us, I think, again, largely was a big mentality thing. And so you go into Scunthorpe the following week, and you've got a point to prove, and because obviously a few of them lads will have been questioned on the Saturday game against us, and they've got to follow it with a big response, and they did exactly that. So yeah, I think a bit of a mixed bag for Shields this month. Playoffs, you do tend to see the full-time teams coming good towards the end of the season, and I think that will be them again this season. I would back Shields to just about sneak in there. Again, I think if you're a full-time team and you're there or thereabouts at this point in the season, you always back them to get in.
Yeah, 100%. And on the Blythe Spartans, I was writing this, sitting in 16th for 5 games in February. No wins, 2 draws, and obviously the 3 losses as well, including the 2-0 defeat against Spennymoor. But I think the big news that we've got to chat about that one, Matthew, is obviously new chairman. Liquid comes in with Steve Howard, sporting director, just literally out of nowhere. I know we were at the Scunthorpe game on the night, and they kind of said there's a big meeting planned the next day, and I think everyone was chatting around saying, oh, that could be it for Blythe. And I don't think a lot of people expected, but yourself, new chairman comes in, all is promised, we're going to do this, we're going to spend that. Football League, it's always mentioned. I mean, what's your thoughts on the takeover there?
I think it's come massively out of the blue. He's a fairly local businessman, I'm led to believe. I believe he is Newcastle based. Early signs, there's a lot of questions to be asked of him. I know that someone on social media has done a bit of a breakdown of him and his previous endeavours, and it's not a great reflection of him, being honest. And the sporting director coming in, there's no obvious link there either. So it's there's a lot of question marks around that now, and I think rightly so. Blythe fans, I'm assuming they don't particularly care much what anybody else has to say about them. They've had a rough few years up there, and they'll just be keen to see someone put a bit of investment into the team to see them kick on now. So, I can sit here and tell them to be wary and that it looks like it's going to end in tears, but realistically, I'm shouting into a void, aren't I? They want results on the pitch, and if a team's getting results on the pitch, 99% of the fan base are willing to overlook what happens beyond that. And yeah, again, it'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on as it develops over the next few years, because obviously a lot of clubs up and down the country, you see owners coming in with big ideas and little evidence to prove that they can implement that, but I'm sure that'll have overshadowed what's really been quite a pill month for Blythe on the pitch. Again, they played Boston last time out, came from 2 goals down and got a draw, and that's not a bad result for them at all. Boston are really in form at the minute, obviously I'll get onto a little bit what I saw against Boston when we went there the other week. Aside from that, late defeat at Farsley, really poor result. Defeat at the time a really out of form Spennymoor, which is a really poor result. Snatched the late equaliser against Scunthorpe, much to Scunthorpe fans' bemusement as to how they've quite not managed to put that game out of sight long before then. So any point against Scunthorpe this season is a good one for any team, I think. And Hereford away the 5-2, I think what I saw from Blythe fans, I think it was the manner of the way they got beat that game that really upset them, and I think it set a tone of things to come. In terms of the relegation battle, I don't think they're in any bother there. I think they've already got enough points on the board. You may be only looking at a few more wins until they're safe, but playoffs is out of reach now, as I've also said. So yeah, they've got a reasonably kind month coming up. I know they've got Tamworth next time out, but they've also got Kings Lynn, Us, Southport, Peterborough Sports and Kerrs, and there's lots of winnable games in there that'll, I'm sure, if they can get some points on the board in the next month, that will kind of go hand in hand with the off the field stuff, and it'll give them a real leg up for next season.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Like I say, the final two teams in that league are Spennymoor. At the time of writing it, was sitting 17th. But like I say, a slow start for Graham Lee. A lot of people doubted it from the beginning, but things picked up. I know we had the Spenny fans on that just said you can see things are trying to take shape, trying to get the way he wanted to play. And apart from the 2-1 loss to Chorley, it was right for obviously 3 wins, obviously 4 wins now after last night and 2 draws. But like you say, that especially last night, just them last minute winners, it could just mean so much to the momentum going forward now, couldn't it?
Yeah, Spenny have really picked up this month, and you'd say this is the month where they probably got out of the relegation danger, much like Blythe. I don't think the form has probably been as good as the as what it would actually suggest when you look into it. I think they played a lot of poor teams, a lot of teams in there that you'd expect them to beat. Peterborough Sports at home, 2-0, that's a team you'd expect to be beaten. Southport away, that's a team you really expect to beat. Charlie away is a little bit of a free hit there, up there, and there and thereabouts. Blythe really out of form. You've got to be beating them at home. Warrington at home is a really good result for them. Warrington are a little bit hit and miss. You never really kind of know what you're going to get from them. Chester away 1-0. Any point at the Dave is a good point really in this league. And the Justice A scrape past Bishop Stortford last night. I saw the goal on Twitter today. It's quite a bad error for
keep holder, isn't it?
Okay. But yeah, obviously Spenny won't care, and you know, as much as I like to laugh at them, I can only take my hat off to the travelling supporters that went down there last night, because that is a hell of a trek. And yeah, they got the reward, and I'm sure all the belief will be behind Graham Lee now, and it will just be a case of them thinking about what they can do for next season. Because I think this season, again, no real relegation danger, and they're far too far away from the point. I'll be thinking about that.
Definitely. And finally, your own team, obviously Darlow, a massive win again last night. I mean, what's your thoughts on Steve Watson so far? Obviously, with the games that you've got left, do you think, obviously now it looks a lot more brighter now, doesn't it? I would imagine the hope after last night, you think, yeah, we can actually stay up now. I know you chatted when Watson got appointed. I mean, do you still think that now as well?
Yeah, well, it was the last day of January, we went to Banbury away, and I said that was off the back of a 2-0 home win against Hereford, and I thought, win at Banbury away and we can really put a run together and we've got a chance. If we lose, I think it could well be over for us, and we got beat, and I was kind of resigned to the fact that everything between now and the end of the season is a little bit of a free hit for us, and it's just about assessing where we are. But then we've got Banbury at home this Saturday, and all of a sudden the mood's changed a lot, and you tend to feel that if we win on Saturday, it's our relegation battle to lose. We'll be level on points with Banbury, obviously. We'll need a bit of goal difference to win to go ahead. So effectively, we are 4 points behind. Again, this month it's been a little bit stop-start for us. Brackley was our first game of the month. Obviously, they're a hard place to go to. Got beat 1-0. Very, very dubious penalty. But again, you'd say it was much game management from Brackley, and they did their jobs really well, to be fair to them. And yeah, I can't really have any qualms about that one. Alfreton at home, the game after was the one that hurt a lot, was the 2-0 defeat. The manner of that was really poor, and it was probably the first time I'd seen Watson really, really get it wrong in terms of the way he set up. But we did learn from that, and we went to Shields the game after, and obviously blew them away. You can talk about the red cards being a big turning point, but sometimes when you're down the bottom of the league, you need that little bit of luck to go for you. And we definitely capitalised on our chances that day, because there's been plenty of times this season where we played against 10 men and we've not taken advantage of it. If anything, we've looked like the team with 10 men. So yeah, I was really happy with that result. And again, the big monkey on our back for a long time now was, can we win on a Tuesday night? Can we win 2 games in a row? We went to the wins. No, of course we couldn't do that. We found ourselves 1-0 down at half time. I'm not quite sure how, because we had all of the chances and all the possession in the first half. Second half, ran out of ideas on how to break down. And to be fair, we really informed Boston's side, and Boston did the job on us that night. Buxton at home on Saturday, and if you have seen it, it's a pretty calamitous own goal that put us 1-0 down. Other than that, I don't think Buxton really got near our penalty area, to be honest. They looked really, really lacklustre. But yeah, again, as I say, half time on Saturday, it looked like we could have been 11 points adrift by the end of the day with other results going against us. And all of a sudden, we're in a position now where we feel like we've got a chance to claw ourselves back out of it, especially with last night's win at Curse and Ashton. That's a huge result for us, because this week now we've come from behind to win, which is the first time we've done that in well over a year. We've won back-to-back games. Again, first time we've done that in well over a year. And it's the first time we won a league game on a night, which is the first time since the last time we went to Curse and Ashton in December 2022. So yeah, there's a lot of, we've got a few monkeys off our backs this week, and hopefully that's a big mentality shift for us. And yeah, just for the first time again, it looks like we're capable of winning football matches. It looks like we're capable of scoring goals again. Watson's improved the number of players since he came in. 2 players that I had a lot of criticism for until Watson came in was Tom Platt and Toby Lees. I think they've both been excellent under Watson. Before, there'd have been 2 players that would have been straight on your released when the retained list comes out in May, but now you're having second thoughts about 1 or 2 of them. But again, all that just needs to take a seat on the back burner now, and all efforts need to go into getting a few points on the board in the next month. And I think it will go down to the way of the relegation battle, and I'm not quite sure my nerves are ready for that. But yeah, we'll make a good go of it, even if we do go down. And if we do go down, then I hope to God we keep Steve Watson and Terry Mitchell on for next season, because I really think we can build something here.
No, really good. I say a lot more positive as well. We're going to get the Northern Premier League now, chatting about more with Paul first. And like you say, anyone that's watching as well, thank you so much as always for your support. Keep getting the comments in, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button as well. But yeah, starting with Morpeth, as we wrote, they're sitting in 13th. But February very poor. The 4-3 lost to Atherton, 3-1 to Bamber, 4-1 to Guiseley. 11 goals conceded. And then look at the month before, they had some cracking wins in there as well. The 3-0 win against, Manchester was the only one this month. But it just seems when you look at the results, they'll have a good result, and all of a sudden they'll have 2 shocking results, then they'll have a draw. There's just no kind of, they kind of put any form together, any run together. I mean, what's your thoughts on Morpeth when you face them in the league, Paul?
To be honest, it surprised me how many goals they've conceded, to be honest, when you look at that run, because when we played them, they looked quite a solid side. You know, they were very well organised at the back. Whitby, I know Whitby on the day had 10 men, but you know, weren't particularly breaking them down with ease. So it's one of them. I was quite surprised in terms of the number of goals they've conceded. But yeah, you are right there that they do seem to have a good result and then chuck a couple of shockers in. You know, the games like Atherton away from home. I know Atherton are scrapping for the lives down at the bottom of the division. But you know, losing that one 4-3, Atherton, I thought, you know, no disrespect to them, were a really poor side. So I thought that was a pretty shocking result, to be honest. But yeah, obviously the games in and around that as well. Bamber Bridge haven't had a particularly good season, losing there. Guiseley losing at home to them. Sorry, Guiseley is a tough game away from home, but yeah, they managed to pull it around a little bit. And to be fair, you know, they've got Sam Hodgson to thank from the penalty spot, haven't they, for, you know, those 2 of those goals against FC United and Manchester, who again have been struggling. So the big test for them now is going to be what they do at Radcliffe on Saturday, because Radcliffe are you know, a very, very good side. So yeah, that's going to be a tough game for them, but they just can't seem to really get anything going, can they? which will be frustrating for the manager Lynch. I'm sure he will want them to be doing better in the division, but at the end of the day, they're not in any threat from relegation because they were in a bit of a scrap last season. So from that point of view, straight away, that will be a big positive for them. And to be fair, once they if they can get their home form sorted, they'll be absolutely fine. They'll be a solid mid-table team.
Yeah, and with them talking on that, Paul, as well, I mean, obviously they climbed the leagues to get up to this position where they are, and obviously they had that squad where they all challenged for it, and you say they had the relegation almost season as well. And do you think now they've kind of hit that division where they just kind of know the direction what they want to go next year? I think over the summer it's going to be a massive kind of build to say which way direction are we going to go now. We're going to put a bit of money towards it. They're kind of stuck in that position where they don't really know where they're going, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I would agree with that, to be honest. I think the buzzword for seasons like this for managers are transition years. And I think that's what Craig Lynch will be looking at this as a transition year, getting out of relegation battle last year. And you've got to remember as well, the season before, they struggled for a long period in that season as well. So, they obviously that year they actually ended up, I think, nearly being around the playoffs, but they did struggle for a while. So I think Greg Lynch will be seeing this as a transition year, and looking to maintain a squad where he's got a core of players that that he trusts, that he likes to use, and then seeing what he can add to that in terms of quality in the summer. I know they've been looking around one or two players around the northeast recently to try and improve their side. So I think probably next year we'll see Morpeth looking more like a side that's probably a top 8-9 side in the Northern Premier League, and I think that's definitely what the ambition of both the club and the manager will be.
Yeah, for that. And then obviously the other team in the league, which is Whitby, which we're going to go into now, obviously 2 Whitby fans on as well. In fantastic February, obviously 2 league games before, obviously last night 2 wins against Basford and Hyde, 1 cup win against Northallerton, and obviously the draw last night as well. And I think it just shows you, Shane Bland kind of put on social media, said it was 2 points dropped, and it just shows you the confidence in the lads. They want to win every game now going forward. I mean, Peter, obviously like yourself, you've been on holiday and you've missed a couple of games, but Whitby absolutely cruising. Like you say, some cracking results. It must be nice to come back from holiday and see and hearing about the results as well.
Yeah, I missed the first 2 matches when I was away, and while I've been back, all matches have been postponed. And then I managed to get last night 1 out of 4, which is not very good on my part, but I was listening remotely, so at least I was listening. But to be fair to the squad and to Nathan and his staff in particular, obviously not being able to play is frustrating in a way. Not being able to play, the losing match fitness you would imagine, and then to get the crippler of the 3 points deduction. I think he's done a wonderful job to keep the morale going with the players. I wasn't at the match against Hyde because I was away again. I was in Edinburgh at weekend, but some people say, "Oh, we're lucky," or "We were," or when you talk to them about matches when you weren't there. But anybody who I spoke to about that match said, "What a good game it was," but how well Whitby played. Their manager was in the morning about pitch and about dodgy decisions and all this stuff. But every single person said how well we played. Which is it's good to hear, because sometimes oh, we're lucky, or it's usually semi-negative. It's never all positive. So, and they were a team who I think they were 16 unbeaten. I was on this last month, and I was saying we prefer to play away, and all of a sudden we've including cup matches, we're now at 11 games at home, won 8, drawn 3. So this time we'll say we're going to do all right. We're doing all right at home. Fixtures coming up. I made a note of them all, and we've got 15th place Gainsborough to play twice. Traditionally, they've always been a bogey team like Paul's bogey teams, Lancaster. We've got rid of them now. But Gainsborough, we always usually get a hammering at Gainsborough. And last year when we were desperate, Nathan stuck his neck out and said we'd win at Gainsborough, and we won 1-0. Anyway, they haven't had a very good season this year, but they won last 3 games. So I think they're just building up to play us, because the players following Saturday as well. So they're in 15th at the moment. We've got Matlock in 16th, home and away. FC United at home, they're 17th. And we've got Bradford Park Avenue 19th at home. So, you know, I would say most of them are winnable games. I know there won't be, but most of them you'd imagine there would be. We've got a tough one against Guiseley. They're 7th, so we're sort of hunting them down. Beat them away. They're 7th, but we're playing them at home. And then we've got a relatively tough match with a team who are about on terms with us at the moment, Aston United, which we've had that brought forward from the Saturday to the Good Friday to allow a bit more sort of recovery time. Put match against Morpeth on the Monday, you know. So, like I said, there's a 10th. We're playing the 10th position team away, and we're playing the 7th position team at home out of 8 games. So you know, and most of the games are at home. So you would hope that we're going to pick some points up. You know, another thank you is to whoever's keeping the club afloat when there's no revenue coming in. Whether you play or whether you don't play, the players still get paid, don't they? So, and unfortunately, if you're missing a Saturday match like we missed FC United, when we play them on a Tuesday night, we won't get the crowd that would normally go on a Saturday. So, and if you're playing match after match after match at home, just people go to every single game? No, they don't. You know, they miss odd ones out, don't they? So it's that's a bit of a shame as well. But, you know, credit to everybody involved. We're still there or thereabouts. And unusually, because we didn't play Mask, with them being out at league, we had a spare Saturday. And then we had a match postponed. So for 2 weeks, we managed to stop in 11th place without even playing, which I thought was remarkable. Anyway, since we've started playing, you know, we've gone 10th. Then last night's point got us to 9th. So, you know, we're approaching them. A couple of games or 3 games on some teams. But they're all there to be beaten, you know. And like I say, with these teams down below, they all start kicking and fighting and wanting to win games all of a sudden. So you can't take any of them for granted, as I've said before, like, you know. Paul will no doubt give you more information on how it all went, because I was only listening, I wasn't watching. 3 points, I'm sort of fairly close to the club. I've heard all sorts of stories, and obviously, if we've had the 3 points deducted, we're obviously guilty of the charge. But how did it all come about? Because I've heard that many stories. It's a little bit unclear to me, like, you know.
Yeah, in terms of that, obviously it was over the August bank holiday weekend. We'd agreed to take a player off contract and put him on non-contract so he could dual register with the Northern League team. And that form obviously went in on the Sunday, but it hadn't been accepted on the Monday, so we put him in the squad, but it had been backdated. So when we've put it in, they've backdated it to when the form went in, which has obviously meant that the player was deregistered for that fixture.
Absolutely on it.
And how long did he play? Was it about coming as a sub for about a minute when we were already winning, weren't it? I think it was.
About 15, 20 minutes, yeah. About 15, 20.
Oh, good, isn't it? But on to yourself, Paul. I mean, you must be happy, like you say, with the season so far as well.
Yeah, to be fair, you know, we've compared to last season, it's certainly much better. You know, nobody ever likes to be in a dogfight, and you know, I've experienced a few of them in my sort of 10 years working with the football club. So yeah, it's nice to obviously have the improvement. You know, Nathan, I think, got his recruitment spot on this summer. You know, you look at the recruitment the summer before compared to the recruitment this summer. You know, I think they're absolutely leagues apart. when you look at the quality of player that have been brought to the football club. You know, particularly players like, I mean, obviously Junior Mondal. People know how much quality Junior Mondal has, particularly in this league, and Jacob Grattan as well. You know, those two are Whitley's two top goal scorers with, 14 and 12 goals. So they're the the two key signings that you look at. But over the course of the season as well, bringing players like Connor Smith in, and that just to add to the squad and add different capabilities of players more than anything to play different positions and be versatile, which is ultimately what you need. So yeah, I think there was really good recruitment from Nathan and his management team, which I've got to give them credit for, and it's paid off. We've had obviously the FA Cup first round that we've got to. We in the semi-final of the North Riding Senior Cup, play Gisborne Town in that in a couple of weeks' time, and obviously we're still pushing for the playoffs. We're 7 points outside, and we've got games in hand on pretty much every team above us anyway. So we're having a good season so far. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Take it one game at a time. Like Pete said, every game in this league is a tough game, and with the teams down the bottom end of the division, there's always that added element of they're all trying to get out of there. So they are going to be tough games. There's no two ways about it. But from what I've seen of this side, and talking about Saturday's game particularly, Saturday was as good a performance as I've seen all season. It really did deserve to win the game. They created chances. They were strong at the back. Obviously, there was a little lapse in concentration for Hyde's equaliser, but they limited Hyde to one or two chances. They happened to take one of them. Don't get me wrong, but when you limited a team like Hyde, who are a very good team, very good attacking team, and a very good footballing team, if you can stop them creating chances, you've always got a chance in games like that, and that's what Whitby did. So yeah, that was a very good one from our point of view. Obviously, the pitch has got some stick from the Hyde manager Nick Spooner, who he turned around and said that people watching that should ring Whitby's secretary and ask for the money back. Which, to be fair, we can't normally get hold of our secretary, so nobody else is going to have a chance to get their money back either. But no, to be fair, the pitch we're having difficulties with, and we'll probably mention it in a minute about the pitch perfect, as we've called it, fundraiser that we've just launched to look to replace the playing surface. But at the end of the day, the pitch is the same for both teams.
Exactly.
You maybe do get a little bit of rub of the green from officials every now and then, but I'm sure Hyde will get a bit of rub of the green from the officials as well. You don't get to second place and have a 16-game unbeaten run without, a little bit of luck in there. And, the way that I look at things is over the course of seasons, over the course of games, you've to a degree, you make your own luck as well. So, Whitby forcing the questions and a little bit of luck dropped their way, which, it pretty much deservedly so for the course of that game.
Yeah, no, 100%. Everyone get across and check that pitch perfect out as well. Really good that from the club today. And on the final division now, which is the Northern Premier Division 1 East, and staying with yourself, Paul, for this one, a couple of the first two teams. We've all got two teams each in this one, and starting with Stockton, obviously flying high, another month unbeaten. I know we had Jeff Winter on last month, who just said the confidence there at the minute is flying. Looking good to win the league now. Some fantastic players there. You can't see anyone not win the league now apart from Stockton there, can't you?
No, absolutely. And to be fair, good on them, because they've had sort of 2 seasons of playoff disappointments, and they've just kept plugging away at it. They've kept a relatively solid squad together, really. When you look at it, the names haven't particularly changed that much over the course of the last 3 or 4 seasons at Stockton. The likes of sort of Tom Porter's been there for a long time. Trying to think, Mikey Roberts obviously there for quite a while as well. Players like that, and they've added good players in there. And you think a squad like that, they're very close knit, they're very tight together, and they've got a lot of experience now. They've faltered twice at the playoff stage, and they look as though they're finally going to go on and win the division. And good on them, because I think they'd make a fantastic addition to the Northern Premier League Premier Division. They're like I say, they're a good squad, they're a good side, and I think they would very, very much hold their own in Whitby's division, and they would have a little bit of power to bring a player or two in to improve the side, I would imagine. But when you've got players like Kev Hayes scoring 20 goals a season, and obviously Mikey Roberts is chipping in with goals, they've certainly got the firepower there, and they've got enough to be a good Northern Premier League Premier Division side.
Yeah, definitely going to say favourites to win the league now for myself. And on to Dunstan next in the league, sitting third in the playoffs, and one loss in February after being in the playoffs, like I say, most of the season now. I think even they'll be disappointed now if they don't finish in the playoffs. I know, I can't remember if it was a manager that we had on or a few players that we've had on in the past, they've just said there's not many teams in that league who want to go to Dunstan on a Tuesday or Wednesday night and play up against Dunstan. And I think in a lot of players' heads when they go in, they think, oh, we're Dunstan on a Tuesday night. And you see a lot of the midweek results. I mean, you've got Jack Maskell amongst the goals and everything now. It just looks so good for them to be in them playoffs coming the end of the season. Like I say, it would be a massive shame not to see them drop out after spending so much time in the playoffs this season now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it certainly would be. Again, Dunstan, another good side, another side that have got players that have come through for 3 or 4 years. So, I'd like to see them get in the playoffs. To be honest, I'd just like to see more Northeast sides in the the Northern Premier
100%.
League, because I don't mind travelling to away games, but when you're on the M62 pretty much every other week, it's not always that fun, to be honest. So yeah, it'd be nice to go north a couple more times next year. So I'm sorry to any Darlow fans, but I'm kind of hoping that you don't stay up. It's nothing personal, but I wouldn't mind a shorter trip, to be honest. But yeah, I would like to see Dunstan go up. I'd like to see any Northeast team do well, to be honest. I mean, they're going to have games to catch up on. I've seen obviously another game called off before kick-off again, which is the second time I believe that's happened this season. So I was talking to I think it was either Sam Parnaby. I think it was Sam Parnaby who was due to referee one game and he had to call it off an hour before kick-off as well. So there'll be a couple of from experience this season. There'll be a couple of people feeling a little bit sick that that's happened a second time. But they've got these games in hand. I would say like you said, nobody's going to want to go to Dunstan on a Tuesday night or Wednesday night. So you look at when they're going to play these games in hand. I think they'll be just about okay, and they'll solidify themselves in the playoffs. I would say they're the favourites to probably finish second in the division with the number of games in hand they've got on, like, quite a number of teams below them.
100%. And on to yourself, Matthew, now two sides. Hebben, first of all, sitting in 6th place, just slipped out the playoffs, like you say, they've been there most of the season now. 2 games in February, 1-1, drawn 1. But I think you just need to get that momentum going again. I know they had a couple of, last month it was a win, 1, draw 1, lost 1 type of thing again. Where Hebben last season, he had that run where they just kept going and going, and a game at heartbreak at the end of the season. But I think obviously with Bobby Moore now, the experience that he's got, fantastic manager, he'll be kind of playing to his players. Look, this is what's happened last season, the heartache. You just need to get back in them playoffs now and show what we're about with Hebben. I think they'll be pushing from every angle, like you say, the management, the fans, the staff, to make sure that the in them playoffs come the end of the season, won't they?
Yeah, I think everything that Heben's kind of geared towards going up. I think we've kind of had that sort of infrastructure behind for a few years now in terms of development, in terms of the investment that they've been putting into the squad. In terms of February, it's been a quiet one for them, hasn't it? But yeah, a good win against Consett, who were there or thereabouts. Aycliffe, who we'll get on to shortly. They had the bacon saved a little bit there in the dying embers. But yeah, I think at this point in the season, for anybody just lingering in and around the playoffs, that they've got a bit of run that they need to put together if they want to get in there. And yeah, I'm certain Hebben have got the firepower to do it. Ahmad Purwall's still scoring plenty of goals in that league at his age now. I saw Hebben at Aycliffe earlier on in the season, and I'm not sure if it was a one-off or whatever, but they didn't play an attractive brand of football. It really didn't impress me, to be honest. It was kind of, Purwall was just used as an outball for everything, and there was quick counter-attacking football, to be fair to them, but it was it wasn't particularly easy on the eye. But again, we'd like to see some more North East clubs coming up through the leagues. Yeah, and I'm sure whoever comes out of the Northern League will do fine in Step 4 next season.
Yeah,
it's just making up for lost time, really. of all those years of not having Northern League teams coming out of the league and up through the pyramid. So yeah, hopefully Eben can get over the line and into the playoffs, because they have deserved it over the last few years.
Yeah, and the next team, Newton Aycliffe, one of my favourite sides at the moment, absolutely flying, like you say, local to yourself as well. Brian Atkinson, what a job he's doing. I know he's been put forward again for Manager of the Month in the group. I know it seems to the same thing where once the club shares it, or friend and family shares that manager wins for Newton Aycliffe, you need to start sharing for him. He's had a fantastic couple of months now at the club. And like you say, 4 unbeaten in February, another, I think it was a draw last night against Concert as well. But what a fantastic job he's doing. I mean, at the start of the season, there was a lot of worry would even pick up as many points as obviously as what they have at the moment, because it was really struggling. But like you say, the wins against Ossett, Winton, Brighouse, and the draw against Hebburn, the draw last night as well, is just deserves a knighthood, I think, for what he's done this season after the start they had.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, I mean, it was against all odds winning the Northern League last season. A bit they only had table budget. Struggled a bit at the start of the season to find the feet, but again, Brian's put together a really young side there at Aycliffe, and yeah, it's a type of side that when they get in a bit of a rut, they might struggle a bit, and it might last a little bit longer than you'd hope and expect. But again, when they catch fire, they're going to fly as well. So it works both ways, and I think Brian's the exact type of man manager that you need to kind of get these young players through those difficult moments like that, because Brian's, having known him for a lot of years, he's a very, very laid back guy, and he's the old saying goes, don't get too low with the lows and don't get too high in the highs, and Brian could never be accused of doing that. Again, this month, adding Liam Jarvie back into the side is a massive addition for them, and I think that's going to be what propels them in terms of goals. Again, this month they've really had some good results behind them. The Durham Challenge Cup obviously will be a disappointing one for them. They got beat 3-2 on penalties by Wickham. Obviously, it's not a competition that I pay close attention to, being a Darlow fan, but it's a massive deal for clubs at that sort of level. And again, it's a massive mental one to recover from, and they did exactly that, and they went and won against Brighouse in the next game, and it was just about continuing that momentum in the league, really. And you know, if Brian can keep up that sort of form, who knows where they could finish. And again, I think if they were to try and sneak in the playoffs, and I think if they did go up, they would really, really struggle in the Northern Premier League. Who's to say they would? Because I'm sure a lot of people thought that about them this season when they went into step 4. But yeah, I think whatever they've got going on at Aycliffe, I'm not sure it's sort of a long-term thing really, but I think as long as Brian's there and as long as he's got that group of players there, I think the sky's the limit for them.
Yeah, and imagine the chairman's worrying how far this is actually going to go. I don't plan for any Highland Northern League. I think it's a lot of worry for chairmans now where they've got to take the promotion and think, geez, where are we going to get this money from to compete, and my name going even higher as well. But no, thank you for your time there, Matty. And on to the final 2 sides in the league as well. A little bit of a struggle this month for them, but Peter, starting with Concert sitting 9th. 3 games up until last night, 3 losses. Obviously, they did have the draw last night. I know we normally have Jason on, who's been quite disappointed this month with Concert. But like you say, playoff hope still there. Do you think they can get there before the end of the season?
They've had Concert have had some tough games in February. They played Belper, who was 2nd, Hebburn, who was 6th, and got a good result at Newton Aycliffe, who was 7th last night. But where they let themselves down is they got beat 3-1 at Ossett, who were down there, sort of 18th position. That should have been a target to, go for a win. That was their opportunity, but obviously they missed their opportunity. Going further back, they've played 7 games and they've got 5 points last 7 games. So it is worrying for Concert the way the form's going. But I looked at the fixtures for next month, and apart from playing North Ferriby, which is the last game of the month, who are 4th, the other games, they're all teams 15th, 13th. They play Stocksbridge, who were 17th. They play them twice. So it's similar to what I said about Whitby, unless them teams start kicking, if they could just sort of focus on trying to get at least 1 win, they might be able to sort of push on a little bit. But if they need to do it, they need to start doing it soon, else otherwise opportunity is going to go. They are 9th, so there is a possibility. But they've got the fixtures to be able to do it. But it's up to them now, isn't it?
Yeah, no, 100%. It's same as Ashton as well. Obviously sitting 13th after when we wrote this as well, and 4 games in Cleven, just that 1 point with draw against Stockbridge, and like you say, just need some form. They came in a little bit of form over December, January time, but it's not good and poor results in there, and really struggling at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, you had them down for 4 games, but they've actually played 5 in league. But they've still only drawn 1, lost 4, sort of thing. But again, they've played Dunstan, who were 3rd, Stockton recently, who were top. There's only really Dunstan. Give them they beat them 4-1, but there's been 1 goal in every game, so they're just not quite there. But the bad news for them is they haven't got very good fixtures for next month. Obviously, Saturday's a chance for them playing at home to the bottom team, Winterton. If they can get a win there, it might sort of get somewhat going. But they have got some tough ones. There's Pontefract and Concert, next 2 games, both away. They're up there. Then Belper, who was 2nd, all away. Right. So 3 games there. If they can get any points out of that, they're going to be doing well, I reckon. And then you've got Grimsby Borough, and then Brid, who was 16th at home. So there might be a possibility of some points off them last 2 games, but I think they've struggled away. They're obviously they're not going to fall into any relegation problems. They're out like that, but unfortunately, they're the one team who dropped out of the top 10 from the northeast. We're saying last month there was 6 out of 10 teams from northeast, which was a major achievement, weren't it? 6 out of 10. But I think they'll if things go to plan, they'll stay in mid-table. They won't drop any further. But I think their chances of pushing on of maybe with them 3 away games is maybe going to be a too big a ask. I hope I'm wrong, but that's how I see it.
Excellent. But no, hopefully, like I say, next month talking about a few wins for both Concert and National. But I just want to say a massive thank you to you all for coming on the show tonight. It's been brilliant talking about your club. And like I say, hopefully by the next time we come on, Darlow will be safe. We'll be in them playoff positions. Fingers crossed for both of us as well. But honestly, lads, thank you so much for coming on the show, and everyone that's been watching as well. Thank you so much for your time tonight as well.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys, as well. Cheers, James. Cheers. See you.